very happy to meet you in person.
Wonderful, man.
We are in Los Angeles right now, and the Shrine Auditorium is kind of a mile and a half away.
Very close, very
on
close.
the other side of the freeway, and that's where happened the 72nd Academy Awards. It was back in 2000. Why did you come back 20 years later with that footage and making that documentary?
I actually shot it, in the year 2000, and after I finished it, I just, I had all this footage, I had all this stuff, and we just, we never really felt that it was a good time to actually cut it and make it, because if I would have done it in 2005, if I would have done it in 2010, it just was too close to the actual ceremony, and it just didn't feel right. So it was basically sitting, in my vault for 20 years. The Oscars over the last couple of years has been really different. No host. It's just, it hasn't been like the Oscars that I worked on back in 2000. So I went to my brother, who's my producing partner, and I went to my editor, and I said, listen, guys, this is a perfect timing. I said, are you guys on board if we were actually to cut this and make it into the documentary I always meant it to be?
The Oscars right now are very different.
Sure.
It's a different time,
Yeah.
different show. And their show at the time was one of the biggest
Sure.
TV show.
Biggest
46 million people tuned in that year in 2000. It was 8 the last year in 2021.
Yeah.
Now,
So I'll do this, something like this. That. They'll sit down. So that. That. So welcome to the Oscars.
This is the most technically ambitious Oscars ever.
We have about 30 presenters coming in 15-minute increments. Things get to be a little bit crazy.
at the time, you were 20 years younger,
Yeah.
interning for
I was an
Louis
assistant.
Horowitz. You were
Assistant
his
for Louis J.
assistant.
Horowitz, yeah. I ended up getting hired on to the 1999 Oscars, which was the year
Okay.
before. I was a production assistant hired on very early on in the production, and within a couple weeks I got promoted to director's assistant. And so I started working for Louis J. Horowitz over the next year. And then when the 2000 Oscars came around, I was still working on the show, and I pitched the idea to him. I said, everybody knows the Oscars is this polished, big, huge show, but nobody's ever really seen the behind the scenes on the nuts and bolts on how it's put together and how it's produced. So he said, what do you think about us doing it, seen through the eyes of the director? And he was like, yeah, well, let's do it. So I shot 17 hours of footage. Since I worked on the show the year before, I knew all the nooks and crannies. I knew how to, in the production truck, how to get to backstage, how to go into the press tents, how to actually I even during the documentary, I take you into the actual ceremony itself, and you get to see.
So you knew
what
where to
would be
be,
interesting,
where the
yeah.
action was, the mechanic of
Sure.
it.
And that was my whole concept of the documentary, was to just take the 4 days leading up to the Oscars, including the ceremony, and giving you a bird's eye view of the behind the scenes making of the show, and taking you into all those nooks and crannies that nobody ever gets to see.
Because it's not only the day of the
Yeah.
show, it's
the rehearsals.
It's almost the week before.
Yeah, sure.
And we see through your cameras
Yeah.
the rehearsals.
Up
Everybody
until the
working
show.
and working on the show
Yeah.
daily,
Yeah.
and making sometimes big changes
Sure.
day by day to the show.
The orders of the awards, which awards go where, how to do it. Billy Crystal's actually doing his last rehearsal almost up until the actual time of the show. People are coming on the red carpet, and they're still inside rehearsing the show one more last time just to make sure
Definitely.
it's perfect.
Are you excited for that documentary? 20 years in the making.
Absolutely.
To meet the audience and to actually people have to watch it.
For me, I said the most satisfying thing is to actually take this thing that I've been sitting on for 20 years and actually put it out into the world, because it's meant to be. It's a piece of art.
It's a piece of history. Basically.
That's the other thing, and which we didn't realize until we started actually cutting it, is it's got this historical value now because some of the people have died that were involved in
Yeah.
the production. Some of the people have died that were actually on the show. It's like you said, it's like we're not dealing with just a movie, we're dealing with a piece of history.
It's pretty amazing to get to see Robin Williams. on
Robin
stage.
Williams doing his rehearsals. You know, after one of the scenes where he's actually doing his rehearsal, the cameras still roll in between, and he does his shtick, and he starts doing jokes, and it's like you really you miss him.
And in a way, you see these guys working. You see the craft in the making.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much because we're gonna talk again, and we will go deeper in the documentary. But this is really an amazing piece of work that you have.